Hi, I'm Scott the Miniature Maniac, and in 8 days, it will have been 10 years since this channel's first upload. In this video, we're gonna take a walk through this channel's history, and I'm gonna share a lesson that I learned for each year. What up, Mini family? Hope you're all having a great holiday season. Normally at the end of the year, we do a little retrospective on the channel. I thought we'd do something a little bit different this time. A list of tips for YouTubers and those interested to celebrate a decade on YouTube. Each tip is something that I learned at that point in my career, so hopefully this list is applicable to people at multiple stages of their content creation journey. Let's take it back all the way to 2016 with tip number 1. In the beginning. Sounds biblical. In the beginning, you have nothing to lose, which is a pretty special moment. A lot of what success looks like on YouTube is your ability to carve out an identity for your channel and to repeatedly deliver on that. Something we'll get into a little bit later. And right now, at the very beginning, there are no viewers or sponsors to upset. You are throwing stuff at the wall and seeing if it sticks. You just need to get reps in. Don't overthink it. At this point, you should expect a lot of failure, but really just an amazing growth opportunity with no risk. You likely have watched a few videos on best practices for YouTubers, so your knowledge is purely theoretical. But this is where you really get to put those ideas to the test. A lot of people have a lot of advice for YouTube, just like this video, but nothing replaces the wisdom you earn from repeat failure. You need to figure out how that outside advice applies to you and your channel personally. On to 2017 with tip number 2. So you're experimenting, learning some lessons, but it's important to never stop learning. YouTube changes constantly. People are experimenting and discovering things all the time. Before I really got started with YouTube, I tried to absorb as much as I could about how to run a channel, but after I started, I forgot to keep doing that. It's really easy at a certain point to just put your head down and do the thing, but you should pop up every now and then for some air. It shouldn't take up a lot of your time, but routinely putting your finger on the pulse of content creation is important. Whether that's getting general advice from YouTubers like Colin and Samir, or taking a look at your fellow YouTubers that are making videos in the same niche as you are. What are they doing that's working, or more importantly, not working? How can you take those lessons and apply them to your own channel? I don't want to gloss over that last part at all. It's really easy to listen to an authority on YouTube and take their advice at face value, but there are so many ways to find success on YouTube. You should be experimenting to create your own success as much as being inspired by others. Sometimes you don't have to go anywhere to learn from your experiments. Just check your own comments section. Viewers will give you unsolicited feedback all the time, and sometimes it's painful, but every time there is a kernel of lesson in there. Even after a decade on YouTube, I'm constantly learning and relearning so many things. Just a quick aside, this video may not be super happy-go-lucky because these are all lessons that I learned from my experiences. And that kind of knowledge comes from failure. Sometimes it's small, sometimes it's bigger, confusing failure that's hard to pin down. That's just the reality of the situation. And I hope you guys don't think I hate doing YouTube. It's quite the opposite. YouTube is one giant board game, and trying to figure out what works on the platform is the biggest multivariate analysis I've ever done. It's hard, but extremely rewarding. I'm just an introspective dude who likes to share with others, but I'm doing okay. Why do they hate me? All right, it's 2018 and your channel is starting to gain some traction. Weird brands with beauty products are emailing you to review their stuff on your mini painting channel, and they'll pay you $100? Oh my God! This tip is all about knowing when to say no, but to more than just weird beauty brands and mobile game apps. So many people are gonna message you with various requests, whether it's to collab or to try out their hobby product or to sponsor one of your videos. And every single one of those opportunities will likely transfer creative power away from you in varying amounts. I chose to stop taking commissions so that I could have more creative freedom picking out what minis I'd paint. But then I started taking sponsorships for models that were coming out on Kickstarter as a way to advertise those campaigns. And all of a sudden, I was basically doing painting commissions again. But that one's kind of obvious. Let's say you have a sponsor who isn't giving you a model to paint, but just wants you to run an ad for a hobby product in the middle of the video. No problem, right? Well, they need to approve what you're saying and see what you're running in the ad. And all of a sudden, you can't simply render a video out the night before you want to release it. It needs to be done ahead of time so people with regular non-goblin work hours have a chance to look at it. Suddenly, you can't post a video on your own channel without someone else's approval. Yikes. This is an almost unavoidable thing, whether it's someone with a cool charity they want you to shout out, or viewers asking for you to do a certain video format again. There are a million sneaky ways to lose creative control of your channel, and part of what makes YouTube so attractive as a job is the freedom it lends. It's amazing getting to pick what you want to do. Try to avoid giving that privilege up whenever possible. I don't think you can avoid it altogether, but you should develop a healthy relationship with saying no. Here's how you can say it without sounding like a dick. That is a really cool opportunity. Unfortunately, I don't have enough time to invest in it right now, but thank you for thinking of me. This is something that I still struggle with to this day, wanting creative freedom, but also not wanting to disappoint people. On to 2019. It was around this time that I wanted to take a break from my weekly publishing schedule. I've always been a big fan of channels that come out with videos once in a great long while, and they're always show-stopping videos. Might be doing something at that time, but you'll drop anything to go and watch that video. And I wanted to be that for other people. And I felt like this artificial limitation I set for myself in a weekly schedule was getting in the way of me making my best work. So I ditched the weekly schedule and started to take as long as I needed to make the best video I could, whether it was tackling big subjects that take a while, like scratch building an entire piece of terrain from a sheet of styrene, or it was spending more time in the edit to use music and sound effects more effectively and include beautiful shots. The problem that I started to discover was that without a self-imposed schedule, I would spend my time doing just about anything, and a lot of it was a waste. Earlier, I called the weekly schedule artificial, but for me, it really wasn't. I made a promise to my viewers, either implicitly or explicitly, and wanted to deliver on that and not disappoint. And that really drove me forward. So what? I was making a lot less videos, but I was getting more views for this excellent works of art that I was producing, right? Nope. This is a pretty hard lesson for those of us who have large egos. Your ideas about how something works is wrong. And here's the evidence. It's all the work you've done the last 4 months. The lesson here is that consistency on YouTube matters, not only because it promotes a healthy channel where viewers are constantly engaging with you, but it gives you a limiter to decide what's worth your time and what's not. Whether your schedule is daily, weekly, bi-weekly, or whatever, it's important to simply have one. All right, you're around 4 years deep into being a YouTuber around 2020, and you're starting to enjoy the job less. At least I was at this stage. In the beginning, it was passion-fueled, and suddenly, I didn't want to work? That was a totally foreign feeling at that time, so I didn't know what it meant. Work was easy for me. I wanted to be doing it all the time, but that was slowly changing. I remember reading a book called The Passion Paradox by Brad Stolberg and Steve Magnus to research what may be going on. What I learned from this period was that if you're ever working at a deficit, you need to have a plan to get out of that cycle. What I mean by deficit is if your job is constantly leaving you stressed, like literally all the time, eventually you'll start to slowly dislike that thing that's causing you pain. Don't get me wrong. Some amount of stress is unavoidable. You will have times when you're working a lot and experiencing stress from it. But if you notice it's happening all the time, you need to plan a way to get out of that stressful cycle and create longer-term plans that avoid overworking. That may mean taking a step back from non-YouTube work plans. Remember earlier how I said it's important to say no? Often a lot of extra baggage that causes this stress comes from trying to do YouTube, but also other career-focused things at the same time. This is going to sound bad, but It's okay to go back on your commitments sometimes. Look, it literally causes me pain to put that out into the universe, but it's true. You have to jealously guard your joyful attachment to work. Being honest with your collaborators, whether it's sponsors or other YouTubers, is often better than doing a subpar collaboration. It may be a bit of a platitude at this point, but no one knows how you're feeling better than you do. Furthermore, if this is truly a job, you need to invest in your own longevity. It can feel good to grind hard in the moment, but for me, it's not a sustainable way to approach any job, let alone YouTube. On to the next tip in 2021. With some success on YouTube comes other opportunities for fun things like podcasts, live streams, and heck, even running a Kickstarter campaign. As a YouTuber, the product you make is videos. That seems a little counterintuitive because you may have literal products that make you money, but it's true. If anything takes away from the process of making videos or completely prevents you from doing it at all, you have to seriously ask yourself if that thing is worth it. And often it isn't. Your videos are the lifeline to every other thing you do, so it doesn't make sense to sacrifice them for some side hustle. Block out all other distractions and just focus on your videos. If you ever happen upon more time, a great question you ask should be, how can I make more videos or how can I make them better? Doing side projects is fun, and I'm not saying to avoid them completely, but keep your channel in the back of your mind permanently. Going off script a little bit here, some of this advice is a little bit harsh, and I don't necessarily like that this is the way it is, but these are just things that I've learned about the platform of YouTube while doing it that I've kind of just held true for years and years and years. So while I don't like this idea of needing to constantly be relevant on a single platform, it just seems like the best way to be successful at YouTube. 2022 and tip number 7 came to me later in my career when I began to re-educate myself on the platform of YouTube. Earlier, I mentioned how it's easy to put your head down and do the work, and I've been doing that for a long time with a variety of outcomes, some good, some not. One thing I learned, and is the tip I want to share with you, is that framing is everything. Specifically, title, thumbnail, and intro make up so much of the success of a video. So much so that before I ever sit down to paint a figure, I'm already figuring out possible options for where to take that video narratively. I go so far as to write my intro along with several title options before I do anything else. Some of you may roll your eyes at this or besmirch the current climate of YouTube, and you're free to do that, but YouTube unfortunately does not care about your feelings. YouTube cares about viewers watching videos they're happy with, so it's your job to encourage that algorithm and that kind of experience. I'm not saying every video on the platform should look and feel like an insane Mr. Beast challenge, but you and your viewers are different people with different expectations. And it's important for viewer satisfaction to make sure all of that is aligned before someone clicks on a video and that you deliver on the implicit promises of that video. I recently reviewed a paint range and I got a little scientific with it. So in the thumbnail, I had a clipboard and I had a lab coat, which sends a message to the viewers about what to expect. Something else that matters at this point in your career is to think about your viewership you've already developed. You may make a banger video with a great hook, framed awesomely with title and thumbnail. But if your channel is focused on mini painting and the video is about how to be the best clown, your battleship has sunk before it left the harbor. Kind of like this video. Tip number 8 comes to us in 2023, and it's a modern development. YouTube channels that succeed nowadays seem to formulate their channels like a TV show. Not necessarily with seasons and long breaks in between, but they have 1 to 2 repeatable formats for videos they continue to do at a regular pace. When you're thinking of ideas for YouTube, try to think about how repeatable the idea is. Will it feel like the same every time, or can you run it back and have it feel fresh? Here's an idea for a series. I'm gonna find a great painter online and paint a model they've already painted as closely as I can to their style as possible, sharing what I learn and also where I fail. Maybe I can even interview the artist at the end to see how close I got from their perspective. This has some good variety because you'll likely be trying out new techniques and models for every video, but the concept and narrative beats of the video will feel familiar to your audience. It's 2024 and you're in your 9th year on the platform with a creative channel. For a creative channel specifically, I think it's important that you continually invest in your own skill set. This is something that I am currently struggling with right now. I have a way that I like to paint and a certain kind of model that I'm looking to paint, and I don't really want to challenge myself beyond that. But it's really important that you continually do that so you have something new and interesting to say. Viewers are okay with repeat information, especially with modern YouTube, because people miss videos, they skip around them all the time. It's a good thing that you repeat yourself, but not too much. You want to bring something new to the table somewhat regularly. The last tip I have for you today on the doorstep of 2026 is one that's become more obvious to me the longer I'm on YouTube. As a YouTuber, you wear a lot of hats: on-screen talent, writer, editor, sponsor coordinator, and a lot more. But one skill that I rarely see mentioned as wildly important is your project managing skills. This only became obvious to me due to my severe lack of said skills, but it's something that I'm working toward improving. After 10 years on the platform, I'm coordinating editors, accountants, sponsors, concept artists, sculptors, short form content, long form content, and more. And your ability to reliably deliver on that is a project management feat. Everything gets more complex over time as well. A 2016 Miniac video is significantly easier to make than a 2026 one. It's all about all those tiny little decisions that we've summarized this entire list of tips. Each video needs to be packaged well for your audience and the platform of YouTube. Editors need content on time so they can edit them in time for sponsors to be able to review them for 2 to 3 business days and get feedback to you so that you can then apply it before the video comes out. There are so many moving parts, and your ability to see through the miasma of small goals and coordinate them all really cannot be understated. I deal with this by having a weekly meeting with my wife where I set tasks on a Trello board for what I'll do that week. The first week of the month, I have an even longer meeting where I try to plan out all the content for that month and when I need to have certain things done by. It is hardly a well-oiled machine, but it's definitely been helping. That's all for my list of tips, but I want to share one huge caveat. These are my learned lessons, not yours. If it works for your goals, you have the option to never include a sponsor on your channel, or never engage with fans on Patreon, or never hire an editor. You get to make that choice. Everything, and I mean everything, has pros and cons, and it's a great idea to just sit and think about what those may be before making a big decision. That's gonna do it for this video, guys. Hopefully I'm not upsetting too many people by changing what we're doing for the end of the year video. Honestly, I didn't have a lot of mean comments to react to anyways, a positive thing. So I felt like it was fun to do something a little bit different for 10 years on YouTube. Seriously, guys, I cannot even fathom like how thankful I am to be able to be doing this for 10 years. And I'm speaking specifically to the people that are watching the video right now. It's because of you. You're the person that probably watches all the videos I make, watches them all front to back. And that kind of person, that passionate, engaged fan, is the reason why I get to do all of this. You are my hugest supporter for so many things. So thank you. Thank you so much. All of these lessons are things that I have learned and am constantly trying to work into YouTube and apply all at the same time. So you may hear things that I'm saying that you notice that I'm not applying myself in every single video. And it's because it's a really massive juggling act to be able to do all these things all at the same time. But rest assured that I am trying, and I will continue to try for another 10 years on YouTube. I am excited, I am invigorated in this new space to keep going. If you guys enjoy this channel and you want to support it, there are many ways to do that. All things linked down in the description below. One of those things is my web store, miniac.co. You can buy a bunch of cool things like hobby tools, like a cutting mat or a brush coffin for your brushes and other similar shaped tools. You can also buy models on there and masterclass courses for those models to learn how to paint the model front to back and all the skills needed to paint the model. It isn't just simply a walkthrough. You You can also find my merch on there, like fun pins and t-shirts and whatnot. I also have a Patreon where you can contribute to me monthly in exchange for some rewards like access to my Discord server, video stuff early, access to fun events on the Discord like the quarterly challenge, and more. Subscribe or die! And most importantly, don't forget to...